All right. So here we are in our third class, where we're going to cover Capitulum Unum, Pars Prima et Secunda, or Chapter 1, Parts 1 and 2. And more vocabulary and more grammar. Actually, that's probably going to stay there for a lot of the classes. But anyway, let's begin with our initial prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to have some review. Excuse me. We're going to talk about terminationes nominum, noun endings, or literally the endings of nouns. We talked about genus, numerus, and casus, kind, number, and case briefly last time, so we're going to kind of review that. And what is new are the adjectiva, the adjectives, manus, parva, and some useful stuff, and then homework. We'll get to the talking about the individual, or rather the readings themselves, here in a minute. But I do want to mention that the Familia Romana uses what's known as the natural method to teach Latin. It's kind of we're kind of throwing newbies into the deep end of the pool and telling them to swim. The other way would actually, when we get to some of the grammar, the other way is we would start with the grammar tables. And that is okay, but it's felt that the natural method, which historically was the way you learned Latin for many, many centuries, is better because it forces you to read and think in Latin as opposed to just straight memorization. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get away with not memorizing stuff. You got to memorize. You do have to memorize the grammar, and you do have to memorize, obviously, the vocabulary. But we're going to gradually introduce some of the grammar. Be aware of Latin's flexible word order, ordo, and be patient. Keep reading. Note the words in the margins. And I'll get to this when we switch to the readings. And keep in mind that the answers often explain the questions, and look to context for word meaning. So let's get started with the questions on the readings itself. Did anybody have, let's see, what am I on? Okay, I'm on section 2 anyway. Does anybody have any questions about what they've read so far? And you need to unmute because I muted everybody if you want to say something. And where did we, oh. Yeah, because Michael, you had questions, right? Are you talking into the mute? Or have I lost everybody? Uh-oh. Hopefully it didn't go down.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Well, anybody have a question on what they've read so far? Don't all answer at once. Okay.
No for me.
Okay, well, I'll press on then. Okay. Well, let me press on then. So now I want to take some of these individually here. Pay attention to the ending, terminaciones. Well, what am I talking about here? Well, endings in Latin determine the function, or if you want, the part of speech of a Latin word, okay? English does some of this, but nowhere nearly as much as Latin does, okay? In English, we change forms for plural and possessive. So if we have father, which is singular, we have fathers apostrophe s, which is possessive. We have fathers plural. And then, of course, we have fathers s apostrophe, which if you're using regular speech and not print can be kind of confusing because you could say the father's book. So you know, which one is plural, which one is possessive. In English, it may be a little more complex. We have child, child's, children, children's. So English does do some of this. We also have a few cases where for pronouns, we change the form as well. I, he, she, it hit the ball, where I, he, she, it is the subject or the doer of the sentence. But then if it's what's known as the direct object, meaning it's the ball that's hitting them, I becomes me, he becomes him, she becomes her, and it stays as it. So we do actually do some of this in English, but Latin has way more of this. And this is something that you need to learn, to absorb. And as I said, we're not going to dive right into all of the various subtleties of the grammar. As you read on, we're going to add more and more over time. Good example of that, and this is for Latin you might already know, or at least be familiar with. I suspect most of us here either attend a Latin mass, either occasionally or regularly, right?
Right. Right.
Hopefully you recognize the Our Father in Latin. So pater noster qui es in celis. Our Father, pater noster, Father our, literally. And Father here is what's known as the subject of the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do the sign of the cross, we say in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. So it's in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. So pater becomes patris.
Michael,
Yes.
why wouldn't patris be like Filii and Spiritus Sancti? They all end in I, except for Father.
And Spiritus.
Right.
Okay. I was going to try and hold off on that one.
Okay, dokie.
But I'll explain it now. I actually had that chart in there and I took it out because I didn't want to terrify everybody just yet. Plenty of opportunity for me to terrify you.
I'm already terrified.
Already terrified? Oh, okay, too late.
Trust me.
There are different what are known as declensions in Latin. And a declension is simply a group of words that follow the same pattern. Now, you've already seen the feminine ending nouns like Italia, Europa, let's see what else, Asia, Syria, Roma, Britannia. Okay, those are all what are what you'll eventually learn as feminine nouns, and they belong to something called the first declension. So all of those A ending nouns all have the same pattern, which we'll eventually get to. The next set are the US ending nouns. Let's see.
Fluvius.
Fluvius, thank you. I was totally blanking here. Fluvius, and it's known as the second declension, but also the UM ending, both the US and the UM ending nouns, which are masculine and neuter. They follow a similar pattern. Now, why is this different? Okay, spiritus is actually a what's known as the fourth declension, which I don't even want to talk about yet. I want to talk about the first two declensions, which is where most of the vocabulary comes from. Well, all the nouns so far have been first and second declension. So it just depends in which bucket the various nouns fit. And there are 5 buckets. You've seen the first 2. The third will be chapter 9. And I don't know where they introduce the 4th and the 5th.
I'm still trying to figure out the first 2. Like
Exactly. Yes, let's concentrate on the first 2. There'll be plenty of time for the later ones.
Because in that second sentence, it says a nomine patris. Then if you go to the Gloria patri.
Patri et filio. It's Now
And I always thought, because these guys were in both of those, they're like prepositional phrases. So I thought, well, that's what determines the ending of for father.
It's not preposition, but what this is possessive.
Okay.
In Latin, it's the genitivus, the genitive. And the reason is this is in the Father's name, in the Son's name, and in the Holy Spirit's name. But we don't say it that way because that's very long-winded. So we just say in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. But these are possessive forms. Yeah,
Michael, the term genitive, I think, is probably kind of new to some of these people. Is basically the possessive form.
Yeah.
Because it may not.
We're going to talk about some of those later. Let's see, where is it? Nope, there it is. Nope, where it is. Oh, casus. There we go. We're going to talk about cases here later. But,
okay.
And then, but what I want to get through with the whole point of this slide here is not to teach you these endings yet. Okay, there'll be plenty of time for that, but to show you that depending upon the function of the word, the endings will change. And it is
excuse me, but the way I was reading the sentences,
Mm-hmm.
with the way the word ended gave me a indication that like on line 38 and then line 38, it says pater est in Graecia, parta est oppidum Graecum.
Okay.
Oh, well, okay. Sparta is in Greece, and Sparta is a city in Greece.
Which line was it? Oh, you said this
line
one?
38.
38. Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Now,
okay.
Sparta est in Graecia. You've already seen that. Roma est in Italia. Sparta est oppidum. Sparta is a city.
City, correct.
But what kind of city? A Greek city.
Oh, I took it as a city in Greece.
No, that is in Graecia. And this, by the way, is the same as in English or Latin. Graecia is the country, Greece.
Right.
And Greek is the nationality, if you wish.
Yeah, the property, I guess.
So we
What's the word for Greek in Latin?
Pardon?
Say that again.
Sorry, what was the word for Greek in Latin? I missed that.
Oh, Graecum. Graecus, Graeca, Graecum is Greek. So a Greek city is Oppidum Graecum.
Oppidum Graecum.
Oppidum Graecum. Yeah. Now, somewhere in here, don't we talk about? Yes, we have a whole bunch of islands.
Right.
Sunt insulae Graecae. Islands, Greek islands. And here, insula, one island. Insulae
is plural.
Is 2 islands.
Right.
And so we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves, but adjectives have to agree with nouns in gender, number, and case. That's actually a slide farther on.
Subconsciously, I kind of got that, but
Yeah.
the way you're explaining it, I'm going, ooh.
Yep. So let's get back to the we'll come back to this in a minute. Let's get back to the slides for a moment, because
Okay, good.
Believe it or
Because line
not.
45, I got a big question on that one.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll go
So-
for-
Whoops, I think where were we? Woo. Okay, so
Okay.
anyway, the point being is the ending determines how the word functions. So there's three very simple rules.
Mhm.
Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. That's the first rule.
Okay,
The second rule is Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning.
Hmm.
And the third rule is Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. The point being is that's really important. And you've seen some of that in the first chapter. So keep that in mind. Now, we talked briefly.
wait, whoa. So when you say Latin forms change usage and meaning, and that would all be predicated on the adjective that's before the noun?
Well, all right, let me give you an example here. Okay, we're getting a little ahead. Let's see, I gave here we go. Case endings. If I say manducemus aviam, that literally means let's eat grandma. So grandma better run, okay? But if I say manducemus avia, that literally means let's eat, comma, grandma, okay? So grandma better, hurry up and get to the table. So in one case, grandma is the meal, and the other case, grandma is going to join the meal. There
And
is
what was
one
the determination
letter
of that?
difference, aviam versus avia.
But they're both eat, right?
Yes. Manducemus is let's eat. But what are we going to eat? Well, in this case, we're going to eat grandma. In this case, you're telling grandma that let's eat. So the point is, one letter difference changes the whole meaning of the sentence.
Correct. Okay.
Grandma. Okay, grammatically, manducemus aviam is grandma is what's known as the direct object, meaning the object of the action of the verb. Okay, so if I say I hit the ball, what's being hit? The ball. That's the direct object. If I said I hit the ball to Fred,
Mhm.
then Fred would be known as the indirect object. As I said, I don't want to get into too much of the details of the grammar yet because we're getting ahead of where we are in the grammar of the Latin. So I kind of want,
Yeah, but in some of these sentences, they do that, and I'm trying to just figure it out.
we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we'll get there.
All right.
Let's see, where were we? Oh yeah. Okay. So as I said, Latin nouns have gender or kind, genus, numerus, number, and case, casus. And the reason we're using Latin terms is because this is Latin grammar. Now, I will throw in some translations, but it's better to think in Latin grammar in terms of Latin. Okay. So, and also, by the way, these terms were developed by Latin speakers, roughly around the time of Christ, maybe a little bit before and a little bit after, well, certainly as well as after. Now,
Cicero stuff.
Cicero, yes, or St. Augustine. Well, St. Augustine wasn't a grammarian, but so anyway, English nouns, we do not have genus. We do not have gender, really, except for pronouns. He, she, it. But if I say dog, book, cow, well, cow, okay. All right, I take that back. Cow is a feminine noun. I get indirectly. But we don't change, we don't change endings if it's a cow. It's either cow, cows, bull, bulls. There's really no change in the words there.
There's cattle.
And then there's cattle. Yes.
Well, Michael, on the genus, you say it's gender, but we don't, in Latin, you don't have them. But what happens if you have like
We do have in Latin.
Alexandrus, I mean, or.
Well, no, you do have,
Cesar.
you have gender in Latin. I said English nouns do not have gender.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Oh, no. English, all Latin nouns have gender.
Okay, got it. I didn't see that English now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, they all have gender.
Okay, good.
They have numerous, i.e. number.
Mhm.
Now, English nouns have that as well. One river, two rivers. We have singular and plural. You know, yeah, yes, and in so anyway, English really only has two cases. We have river, meaning normal, and rivers, which is possessive, and that's it. You know, it doesn't matter where river appears in the sentence, it doesn't change. Okay. And the way English does that is by fixing the word order. So if we go back to our chart here, let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, here we go. Manducemus aviam means let's eat grandma. If I said aviam manducemus, that still means let's eat grandma. Okay. We can put these in either order. Okay. Doesn't matter. This is the verb. This is what is being done to this noun here. Likewise, if I say
the avium is the verb, right?
no, manducemus is eat.
Oh, I thought that was grandma.
Nope.
Well,
Avia is grandma.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Now, do you, well, all right. You wouldn't, if you've ever read the words of consecration, the word using, take and eat is mandukate, eat. Let's see, I'm not sure. Well, anyway, but this is let's eat. Anyway, so you can say aviam manducemus, manducevus aviam, or another one, if you want an example, is you can say wir I'm trying to remember bite. Wir edit canem, man bites dog. But you can put that in any three orders you want. You can say canem wir edit. You can say canem edit wir. That all means man bites dogs, okay? Or man bites dog. If you want to say dog bites man, then you have to switch the endings to canis edit virum. So there is a change in endings, and that's what I mean by the endings will determine the function of what the verb is. Now, right now, you know exactly two kinds of endings. We'll get to that. I'll list them in a minute here. So where was I? Okay, so anyway, but English has only two cases. And we determine what the function of that word is in English by position. Now, genus, kind, gender, nominum, noun. What is a noun? It is a person, place, or thing. It is generally something tangible, or it can be conceptual, but it is a thing. It's not an action. It's a thing. So genera nominum sunt tria. There are three kinds of genders of nouns. Okay. And by the way, if you look in the Grammatica section, I stole this right out of the Grammatica section of the Familia Romanum. But there are three. There is masculinum, masculine, pretty easy to see. Like Marcus, Fluvius, I guess we haven't had Marcus yet. We'll have him in the next chapter. Marcus, Fluvius, Renus, and Tiberus. Yes, this is like German. German has three genders. Feminum, as in Roma, Italia, Europa, and Insula.
Why would those be feminine? I'm just curious. Because they're places, and yet
Oh, okay. I'll come to that in a minute.
okay.
Now, why do I have ut? Ut is, you will find, is a all-purpose word in Latin. And in this case, the best way to translate it is as or as in, or even like. So, so as when I say masculinum ut Marcus Fluvius Renus and Tiberius, or Tiberius, sorry, means masculine, as in Marcus Fluvius Renus and Tiberius. Okay. And again, you'll see that in the if we go back to the let me go ahead and snag the grammatica section here, just so you can.
But before you do it, the femininum ut again, but this time I guess it shows as in a place.
Yes. Well, and insula.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, I'm working with the words you've had so far.
Yes.
But all places aren't necessarily end in A. There was Brundisium, Tusculum, Egyptus. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it just so happens that I have listed those. Now,
And
you're right in one thing that let's forget about Tiberius for the moment.
Okay.
Marcus, Fluvius, and Renus all end in US. And those are what you're eventually going to find out as second declension nouns. Okay. They end in US.
Okay.
The A endings here are all feminine. They are first declension nouns. And then the neutrum, ut brindisium, oppidum, etc. And etc., by the way, is Latin. These are neuter nouns, and they end in UM. Now, there are other classes of nouns, like Tiberius is known as third declension, but we don't have to worry about third declension yet. Okay.
What is a declension?
Declension, as I said earlier, is simply a class of nouns that follow the same pattern. So, for example, in feminine, you say Roma, but you say in Roma with a long A. I'm exaggerating it. You say Italia, but you say in Italia with a long
So
A.
shouldn't there be a macron under the after the A?
If I'm saying in Italia, yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying in Italia, no. We'll get to some examples in the readings here in a minute. But you've seen the masculinum, the femininum, femininum, and the neutrum. You've seen all three of these in chapter 1. Now, word about gender. Pater, which is father, masculinum nomen est, is a masculine noun. Filius, son, masculinum nomen est, is a masculine noun. Filia, daughter, femininum nomen est, is a feminine noun. Okay, no surprise there. Oops, got a stray there. Spiritus Sanctus, masculinum nomen est. Trinitas, femininum nomen est. Trinitas is actually feminine. Manus, hand, femininum nomen est. So hand is feminine. So,
but it's in US.
Yeah, that's because it's fourth declension.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know. Don't panic yet. But the point being is we'll get to the declension. Maybe I'll do the declensions next time just for folks because we're getting ahead. But anyway, the point being is for animals and people, it usually matches our intuition. Okay. So pater is a masculine noun, no surprise. Filius is a masculine noun. Filia is a feminine noun. Okay. But for things that are non-people, then all bets are off. You'll just have to, memorize it. But the best way to memorize it is through reading. As you read it, you see, yes, this is used as a feminine noun. We haven't talked about specifically the gender, but here, I'll go ahead and share this here. Grammatica, there we go. All right, this is probably a little, let's see if I can zoom this in. There we go. So let's see, where were we? Okay, genera nominum sunt tria, masculinum, femininum, I got to put the long I in there, and neutrum. Now, you haven't had servus yet. That is servant or slave. Ancilla is handmaiden. So Mary is often referred to Ancilla Domini, handmaiden of the Lord. And then you've had oppidum, which of course is city.
Mm-hmm.
So we're dipping. And okay, if you look down below here,
Mm-hmm.
it talks about the 5 declensions. Declinatio prima. Well, we haven't had the genitive yet. Ends in AE, and we'll explain why you want to know what the genitive is later. Let's just leave that alone for the moment. There are 5 declensions. And really what you're concerned with now are the first 2 there.
Mm-hmm.
The AE in the plural and the I in the, in the genitive, and the I in the genitive or the plural. And we'll see those in the reading here, or in the readings in a minute. We'll get back to those. But that is okay. I guess I clicked on the wrong place. Where am I here? So anyway, we also have number, numeri. Numeri nominum sunt duo. The number of nouns is 2. We have singularis, singular. You saw that, fluvius, Roma, Italia, oppidum, insula. And then pluralis, plural, fluvii and insulae. Number is essentially the same as it is in English. We have 1 river, 2 rivers. That's it. Now, there are other languages that have other endings for 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, I believe all the way up to 10, if I'm not mistaken. And that would be, I believe Russian has that many things.
Oh,
So,
this is Latin, right?
This is Latin, yes. We just have 1. We have singular and plural, and that's it. But the point is other languages have even more. So be thankful you're learning English. You've learned English and you're learning Latin, because you only have to deal with 2 of them. Casus. All right, now this is the one that's really hard for English speakers. Casus nominum sunt 6. The number of cases are 6. You've seen the nominativus. In English, nominative, or it's the subject. So Marcus, Fluvius, Rhenus, Tiberius, Italia, Insula, Oppidum, Brundusium, and etc. You have not seen any of the direct objects yet. All you've seen is, Roma in Italia est. So Roma is the subject, and in Italia is in what's known as the adjectives, which I'll get to, but you haven't really had any nouns doing anything at the moment, right? Other than existing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not had any of the accusativus. We have not had any of the genitivus or possessive yet, nor have we had the dativus, dative. We have had the ablativus or ablative, and nor have you had the vocativus. So there are, those are the 6. This is for subjects and standalone nouns. This is for direct objects. This is for possessive nouns. The dative is for indirect objects. Ablative, is used all over the place, and we'll talk about it later. And then the vocativus is mode of address. That's why when we say manducemus avia, means let's eat, comma, grandma. That's actually the vocative form. So what you know that you're speaking to grandma there. You're not eating her. But English really only has the nominativus and the genitivus, and that's it. But Latin has these other ones. And we're going to fill it in over time. Okay. Over time, we're going to fill these in, but we're going to do it slowly. Now, English does have a vestige of cases that you do see them in places, like who rang, but we say for whom the bell tolls. Who here would be the subject, but for whom would be the indirect object. So, so we do have a little bit of it in English. Proto-Indo-European, which was the ancestor of the all of the Indo-European languages, had a very complex system, but as the various languages broke off, some of this was absorbed or disappeared, if you wish. German has a number of cases, not as many as Latin. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is really pay attention to the endings, because that's going to clue you in as to how that word is to be used. And later on, probably, I think it's maybe chapter 3 is where we're going to start getting some of the spiffy tables and we start talking about all of them. But by then, hopefully you will have had some of the experience with the readings and see how they're used.
Michael?
Yeah.
Could I just interject that
Sure.
Just a little additional piece of advice is that when you say pay attention to the endings, the emphasis, it seems to me, is when you learn a particular word like vita, then you want to pay attention to the endings in each of those cases that you just went over.
Yes.
So instead of just thinking about endings in and of themselves, the endings need to be thought of in association with a particular word.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
And once that makes it, I think, a lot easier to well.
What do you mean by a particular word? Does that, you mean like that, like an adjective that's describing it?
Well, when Michael was just going over the concept of these various cases, it makes a lot more sense when you take a particular vocabulary word in Latin, and then you see how that word is used in a sentence determines what each of the endings are. And so if you then associate the endings with a particular word, then it helps to get that straight in your mind.
See, I'm doing just the opposite. I'm thinking that it's the words in the sentence will control the ending of that particular word.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how the word is used in the sentence, you're right, determines what the ending is going to be. That's what he was trying to say just now. All I'm saying is that I think that what's going to happen is when you learn vocabulary and then you see how a word, a Latin word, is used in a sentence, then you get to see how those endings are associated with that particular word.
So now
Latin,
know that root word, I guess, would be.
yeah, that Latin is all about repetition. and patterns. So once you see the repetition and you see the patterns, then everything goes a lot smoother. But it does help, I think, to understand these endings when you associate it with a given word. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, I would agree with all that.
Okay.
Okay, as I said, we've already seen this one. Manducemus aviam. Aviam there is a direct object. This, by the way, is known as what's that accusative case. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Alex, even though ut means as in, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, let me cover that. I didn't see that until now. Where were we? Okay.
I was just trying to contrast that with the word in.
Yeah, okay. That may have been a bad choice. Yeah, that was probably a bad choice of translation. Ut is a very fluid word in Latin. Yeah, keep it as, think of it as, for example, in this.
It's like I period E period,
Yeah, exactly.
or E period G period.
Yeah, which, by the way, is also which are Latin
Yeah,
abbreviations.
it's really E period G period.
Yeah. So no, in fact, in the Gloria, the Glory be, the Gloria Patri, where we say sicut in cielo, or sorry, that's in the Our Father. Sicut in cielo et in terra.
Right.
That is sicut is actually, or sicut is actually two words put together, seek and ut. Seek is thus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so ut is generally a result, but for now, just think of it as for example, because that's the easiest way to, in this context, to pick it up. All right, where were we?
But the point is that the word ut does not put it in the ablative.
No. All right, so we saw we were going to eat. Okay, now the other thing, which was the second in the list, I think, or third in the list, is the second in the list is the flexible word order. Let's see, where are we? There we go. Whoop, nope, more. Let's see, we covered all of that. There we go, word order. Latin does have flexible word order. Now you've seen a little of that already. Roma in Italia est. Roma est in Italia. You can even say in Italia est Roma. That's a little weird, but you could say that. We're going to get even more interesting with word order as time goes on. Okay. So don't get locked into English word order. I saw a lot of answers to questions, where was such and such is in in such and such a place. So there were a lot of Roma est in Italia, Brundisium est in Italia. What else? I've forgotten what they all were.
Well,
it's not wrong. That's not wrong, but usually we want to put the verb at the end of the sentence. I can't now. I'm going to caution you on that a little bit, because what you really need to do is read more of this text to get an appreciation of the Latin word order. Both of these are correct.
Yeah, but Michael, didn't you say, I think the last time, like est, that word order, like the next one down is perfectly.
Yeah,
good?
they're both. Yeah, no, they're both perfectly right. But what I don't want you to do, what I don't want to see in the exercises is the est is always in this order, because that reflects an underlying English mentality.
Well, in
So-
some of my answers, I kind of like switched them around to kind of like, you know.
And that's
for
fine.
variety.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, all right.
But as I said, read the text and you're gonna get a feel for the yeah, similar to German. Now you got again, I want to all right, let's look at all right, let's see now. Let's go up here to the prayer here. Well, okay, now, in fact, this is a good example. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus. Blessed thou amongst women, and blessed fruit of womb thy, Jesus. So we wouldn't say it in that order in English. We would put benedicta est tu, blessed art thou. We'd have an in mulieribus, et benedictus, and blessed est. We'd have to have an is in there. So there's what I'm really talking about here is style, and the best way to get a feel for that style is in reading. So I wouldn't let's see, where are
Would you
we?
take the tui and put it in front of the ventry? That makes no sense, you know, thy womb instead of womb thy.
No, more often than not, you'll see adjectives follow the nouns.
Oh,
But
okay,
again,
okay.
you know, but again, there will be examples of the other way around. And as I said, this is Latin's flexible word order. So I guess what I'm saying is we're trying to understand Latin in this class, and we're also reading it and hopefully speaking it to a
Well,
certain.
then, could we just look at line 45? Because that.
Sure. Let's see what. Let me see what
That's
the
in-
next slide is. Oh, okay. Can we talk about adjectives for a moment? Then we'll
Okay.
get to your line 45. See, one thing we added in part 2 are adjectives. Okay, an adjective is something that modifies, describes a noun. Okay, so fluvius magnus, big river, fluvius parvus, little river. Insula magna, big island, insula parva, little island. Oppidum magnum, oppidum parvum, big city, little city.
Perfect.
The usual place for that adjective is behind the noun, but again, that's not 100%. Let's see. So now there is a rule for adjective, and any adjective that describes a noun must agree in genus, numerus, et casus, meaning gender, number, and kind. So masculinum, fluvius magnus, that's singularis. But fluvii magni, pluralis.
Mhm.
So in other words, if we have more than one river here, and then we better make sure that we make the adjective plural.
And that's where I was thinking backwards. I saw the adjective being plural, so then I figured, okay, fluvi's got to be more than one river.
Yep. Same thing with femininum, insula magna, big island, singularis. Insulae magnae, pluralis. Neutrum, oppidum magnum, singularis, oppida magna, pluralis.
Which means many cities.
Big. Magnus is big.
Oh, just big
Magnus
cities.
magna magnum is big. So magnanimous is an English word that we get from that. Magnificent.
Mhm.
Magnum of champagne.
Magnum of champagne. Yes, good one. Oh, thank you.
I like how she thinks.
Yeah.
Would we get would we perhaps do some huge amounts of like changing? Would the word major come from magna?
Well, okay. Magna means big. Major or major is bigger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
kinda, sort of, but not really.
yeah. No, it's the comparative. See, in English we have good, better, best.
Right.
And in Latin, you have bonus for good, melior for better, and then optimus for best. Now, that happens to be an irregular word. Well, it's irregular in English and Latin, but there are a progression of endings that you stick on adjectives for their for the.
So yeah, that was gonna be my next question, because like English, it seems pretty regular. Big, bigger, biggest, or
Well,
I
but
mean,
that's not. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Latin has a version of that as well. I happen to pick an irregular one, but yeah, it's but magna is big or
Okay.
great. It can also be great. The Magna Carta. Unfortunately, that's pronounced as if it were an English word, and it is in fact actually Latin. It should really be pronounced Magna Carta, and it literally means the big charter, the big piece of paper. That, of course, was what was signed at by King John at Runnymede, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Sort of like the English Constitution. That's probably, or the early English Constitution. But anyway, the point is that your adjective endings need to match your noun endings. Now, at the moment, you have just first and second declension. I didn't want to talk about declensions. I guess I should have. The US and UM endings are second declension. The A endings are first declension. And right now you have a nice pattern where the endings should be the same endings. We're going to break that pattern when we learn other declensions because they have another series of endings. But the same rule applies. The gender, number, and case must match. So
Okay, now with doing those adjectives, if you look at line 45.
okay. All right.
This is where I got confused.
Yeah. Let's go to line. Let me bring up line 45 here.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Whoops. Hold on a second. Section 2. And let's go back to here. There we go. All right, hold on. Let me move something out of the way here. Okay.
Just hit that arrow in the box there that's pointing to the right.
There we go. You want
Okay, you start in Gallia et in Germana.
Germania.
Sunt flui. That means there's many rivers in Gaul and in Germany.
Germany. Mhm.
Okay. Sunte multi flui et multa opida in Arabia. Now they're asking, are there many rivers and cities in Arabia?
Correct.
The answer is in Arabia, non-multi. So that tells me, right, I stop right there and I say, oh, so there's not many.
Right.
But then it said, I'm probably going to, the Bauchi flui sunt et Baucha opida.
Pauca opida.
Okay, say that again.
In Arabia non multi, sed pauci fluvii sunt et pauca opida.
Okay, so I read that and I'm sitting there going, well, wait a minute. There's not many, but then it says, but there's small rivers in a small city.
No.
Okay.
And this, oh, by the way, this is where I talk about, look, the
Right, in the margins, I got
Yeah, the
that.
margin notes. Okay, let's come up here for a moment.
Okay,
We have an insula magna or an insula parva. So we
Okay.
have a big island or a little island.
okay,
And then insulae is plural, magnae or parve. So we have insulae, magnae,
which means
Or-
many islands, many big islands?
many big islands, or
Okay.
insulae parve, many little islands. Okay.
Okay, got it.
All right. So magna is magnus, magna, magnum. That's the masculine, feminine, neuter form. Is big, great, large. And
Got
if you have a doubt, you can always hop over to the glossary
Oh, yeah, the great glossary.
and cheat. Now, there we go. And it's probably not the best way to do this, but there we go. There we go. Magnus.
Big, larger, great, yeah.
Big, large, great. Yeah. And then, of course, parvus, P-A-R-V-U-S. I don't know why there we go, is little, small.
Mhm.
But when we come down here, paucus, pauca, paucum is not little, but few.
Right, so there's,
Multus is many. So, okay.
oh, gotcha.
So just like magnus and parvus are opposites,
Right,
you scroll down and yeah, here we go. Pauci and multi are
yeah,
opposites.
they're opposites, right.
Yeah, so pauci is few, multi is many.
Many, oh, God.
Okay. So, no, by the way, I'm pleased that you're struggling. Well, I would love it, of course, if you read it and would instantly understand it. But no, this you're doing the right thing in that
yeah.
you are struggling a little bit with it to work through it.
Mhm.
You know, what is it in exercise? You know, they say no pain, no gain.
Correct.
A little bit of an exaggeration, but you know, not.
Well, like when I read the answer, I got that, well, I know there's not many, but I figured, okay, they do have rivers, but I thought small rivers. And then the same thing, small city.
Well, yeah.
See, had they put down there in Arabia and added, what's the word? Or when they do the sunt, where is it? I lost my spot. Sunt, if they would have said sunt magni multiflui.
Yep.
Then I would have said, oh, okay, they're looking for big rivers. Then this thing would have made sense. Where you stop just in Arabia, non-multi, period.
Yeah, well, in Arabia,
There's not many.
Yes,
There's
there are
not many big rivers.
Yep.
Then if they would have had the magna in there, and not big rivers, then that second part would have made sense. To me, I would have got a better understanding. I would have figured it out a little bit better. So I wouldn't have.
Well, but no, they wanted multi for many,
Correct.
and pauci for few. So they can't say there aren't big rivers, but few rivers. That doesn't work. Okay. It needs to be not many, but few.
And that's plural.
Plural. Yes.
Rivers. And
Yes.
so, how do you say that? Pauce.
Pauca, it's a hard C.
Oh, that's right. Pauca. Okay.
Yeah.
Pauca,
C
okay,
is soft in front of I's and E's.
You know, that's the second part of this whole thing. What's killing me is the pronunciation.
Well, that's why you listen to the words, and also go back in the first
The first class.
yeah, the first class and the first notes, and you will see that there is
Yeah, there's like, you have vowels in here.
yeah, vowels in this. Now, Laura, I'm not sure. Oh, does num mean is? No, it does not. Num is an indicator that the answer is no.
Right, it's a negative.
So yeah, so let's go to num creta oppidum est. The best way to translate that into English, and again, this is why you really should think through it in Latin, but sometimes you got to grapple with it and, to understand it. But num creta oppidum est would perhaps best be translated in English as Crete isn't a city, is it? See, if somebody says that to you in English, Crete isn't a city, is it?
Yeah.
The expected answer is no, right? So num is essentially that, meaning the following is a question and the answer should be no. Okay.
With that num in there, the answer is going to be a negative answer
Yeah,
too,
Creta oppidum non est. Crete is not a city.
which
Yes.
is weird that the question and the answer are of the same like case, I guess, or whatever you say it, or tense. They're both the same. They're
Yeah.
both negatives.
Yeah, yes. So there's also another one, nonne, nonne, which the expected answer is yes. So in that case, if we put a nonne in front of it, it would be a, let's see, how would you do it in English? Yeah, you would say Crete is a city, right?
Yeah.
Which well,
Or isn't Crete a city?
yeah, we'd have to put a different thing in there. Britain is an island, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. That'd be a better example. But I don't think you'll see nonne coming up in there. But again, this is kind of a hint here. Num
they got it there.
creta est is estne.
Right.
Now
Now go to the next line down.
So what? Quid est Creta? Creta insula est.
No, I'm talking about in your margin where it
Oh,
says
yeah.
then it goes num. I thought they added est or ne on it. Numne.
Well, okay. Estne is a question.
Uh-huh.
Let's see here. Oh, do we use it yet? Oh, okay. I don't think they use it. All right. The standard way of asking a question is to take the verb, and in this case, it's est. So, and you stick a ne ending. So estne, Creta oppidum would be is Crete a city? Okay. Now estne doesn't imply yes or no. I mean, it's just a flat out question. So so if we if we come back to our manducemus, let's see. Okay, I have to change the word from manducemus to manducamus. Manducemus is let's eat. Manducamus is we eat. And I would say manducamus ne, do we eat or are we eating? So that's how the ne on the verb ending changes it from a statement to a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they had, do they have any? Let's see. I don't think, they don't have any. Oh, I thought they had, wait, didn't they have it?
I thought I could have sworn they did too.
I thought they did. Did they have it in the first section? All right. Let's see here. Let's go. Previous. There we go. Whoop, one more. I thought they had, oh, there it is. Yeah, Estne Gallia in Europa is Gaul in Europe. There we go. Yeah, there it is. So est is, estne is the way you form. Okay, now, I told you that Latin was very flexible in word order.
Correct.
So they need to put an ending on the estne there to indicate that it is a question. Otherwise, it would be est Gallia in Europa. It would say Gaul is in Europe. It's a statement. So by putting that NE in there, that indicates it is a question. And when they do make the question, invariably the verb goes first, like we tend to do in English. Gaul is in Europe. Is Gaul in Europe? We move the verb to the front.
Michael?
Yeah.
What is the difference between just plain est, Gallia, and Europa with a question mark after it, and estne, Gallia, and Europa with a question mark?
Est Gallia in Europa with a question mark
Is incorrect?
is really not right.
Okay, so when you're,
That'd be a throwback to early Latin where they didn't have punctuation. They'd had to some way of indicating a question, right?
Well, keep in mind, Latin was spoken for many centuries before it was written down. So
One of them, estne, is like a question.
Yes.
Would be emphatic. I'm emphatically saying that Gallia is in Europe.
no,
Europa.
it's a question, true or false.
No.
Is Gaul in Europe? Estne Gallia in Europa? Gallia in Europa est. Estne Roma in Gallia? Roma in Gallia non est. So it can be true or false. It's
so
just-
so again, it would be incorrect usage to say est, Gallia, and Europa. It should always have the NE after it.
if you're
if you're
asking the
asking-
question, yes.
Got it.
Yeah, I've never seen est stand alone in a question.
Okay.
So then also estne is kind of neutral as far as your answer could be either positive or negative.
Correct. Correct. Whereas num, you assume the answer is always going to be no.
Yeah, yes. Correct.
Okay.
There's a lot of shit here. You gotta, excuse me, a lot of vocabulary.
Well,
What-
you actually did learn a lot of, oops, here we go. Lexia, oops, tertia. No, I want Lexio secunda. All right, I'll get there this way. I get lost in all of this. Here it is. There we go. Now we're back to the second one. And the other thing is, as it said, learn, listen and learn, and listen to the readings,
Mhm.
read along with the readings, and do it more than once. Okay.
Oh, I've read this thing 15 times.
Okay.
But,
Good. Good. And if you can, when it's speaking, try and pronounce the words. That will help. I think it will help your pronunciation.
Yeah, I gotta stop and redo it. Oh, there was a question last week about, can we slow down the,
Oh, that, yeah, I asked them. They thought it was a wonderful idea, and they will implement it in the next version.
well, I'll tell you what, when you do the homework and you then put it on YouTube, when you go to YouTube and you're playing it, you can stop and you have to go into settings. And in settings, it has the speed of which the person speaks.
Yep.
And you're saying, like he was saying, he wasn't pronouncing the H in Hispania, but if you slow it down, you can just hear it.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
kind of
saying-
swallows it a bit. It's sort of
Yeah.
there, but not mine. It's stronger. I would say Hispania. I'd hit the H pretty hard. And in fact, I didn't notice he was sort of swallowing it a little bit until it was pointed out to me.
But it's more definite when I put it down to like speed of 75.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it helps too with the pronunciations of the words.
Oh yeah, I agree. They thought it was a great idea, but it's not.
No, but like I'm saying now, what you did with the homework,
Mhm.
once you play this in YouTube, you have the line underneath that shows where you're at. You
Mhm.
hit stop, and then you gotta
How do you
just.
get it in YouTube?
Huh?
How do you get it?
That's
Oh,
how you get the homework. I swear to God, like last week's, I play it goes right to YouTube. I swear. It's weird.
Really? You
Yeah,
click here and it goes to YouTube because it stays,
Nilus pluvius magnus est.
because for me, it just plays right there.
I don't know how to describe it.
He's magic.
Well, the only other thing is I'd have to open up my email and go to your not this one, but the one before, where it has the first readings. And the
Oh,
readings
okay.
show
now-
up in Latin. I mean, in YouTube. The lesson
okay,
shows
now
up in
those,
YouTube.
okay, those I gave in as an example. I thought those were all classical Latin though.
Well, that part I don't know, but it does help with the pronunciation if you slow it down.
Yes.
And then regularly, it sounds like what he's really doing is like, if you ask me my phone number, I go, yeah, it's 714-222.
Yeah.
You talk so fast that you're not. getting
We've
it.
all gotten phone messages that says, "Oh, please call back."
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's how this guy's speaking at times, so that's where you have to kind of like slow it down. I
Yeah.
guess the classical in YouTube, and it's a great thing. I think
Okay.
Adam asked last week
Okay.
if there was a way to
There
do
may
it.
be ecclesiastical versions of this in YouTube.
Well, however you're doing it when you give it to us, once you do your recording and then you post it, that's how I found you guys.
Okay.
I saw all your classes from the
Yeah.
previous class.
Oh, well, those you can certainly. Oh, that's true. If I play it in here and put it on YouTube, then you
Right.
can slow it down. That's true. Ooh, maybe we should.
Correct, and that's what this does too, because you're putting these on YouTube, believe it or not.
Oh, I understand now.
Okay,
And Michael, if you go over the basic differences between ecclesiastical and classical pronunciation, that's an option for the students to go to the YouTube. And as long as they understand the differences, then they can actually do that and hear the pronunciation and just understand that salve is salve. And, you
Yeah,
know,
I don't recommend that for beginners.
I never noticed the difference, to tell you the truth.
Well, okay. Okay. Salve versus salve, the V versus the W sound.
Winnie, weedy, weeky.
If you're not paying close attention, well,
Mhm.
okay. Keep in mind that the brain likes to fill in the blanks, so to
Correct.
speak. And so it will replace the W sound with a V sound without you necessarily thinking about it.
That
But
is
the one
correct,
that
yeah.
kills me in ecclesiastical Latin is filiae, daughters, comes out as filii. And my brain immediately thinks as Filii, and I just made all my daughters sons. So that's the one that usually gets me. But you're right, most of them is, it's not a big deal. We do have the, now in our case, this is Pauchi, they would say Pauki. So the differences are not huge. But I recommend staying away from classical just because you're trying to assimilate the ecclesiastical right at the moment. It's a bit like, if you live in Houston, it's a bit like going to Boston and hear the, park the car in the yard and buy me a paper. You can understand what it's saying.
Mhm.
Problem. There are definitely different well, even in ecclesiastical Latin, there's different dialects.
Yeah, but
And-
we're learning this in ecclesiastical, right? Pronunciation.
yes.
Okay, and I always thought on YouTube too, it was doing the ecclesiastical.
Well, if you're going to the Annunciation website and listening to the recording of this, then yes, it's all ecclesiastical.
Okay, thank you. Then
Yeah.
then I wasn't going nuts.
But there are other YouTube videos that are in ecclesiastical.
Got it, but I'm not touching
Also
it.
other YouTube videos that are in classical.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, your other class, it was all ecclesiastical.
yeah,
Michael?
yeah. Collins was all ecclesiastical.
Right, there you go. I spent the money on a book that I don't really need.
Well, no. The book is actually very good. It has a lot of those tables. And in fact, if you want to read the first chapter,
That's what I did.
then you will see it. It will talk about the first declension. So
Well, let me ask you this then. Should we be, as a newbie, should I be memorizing those tables? Like
In-
the
in
different forms
Collins?
of singular, plural, blah,
yeah,
blah.
eventually. Okay, I would say put Collins by the side for the moment. Okay,
Thank you.
Collins is a good book. It has lots of good stuff in it.
Michael?
Yeah.
Just a quick question about that paragraph that begins with Num Creta Opinum Est. I noticed that they say quid est Sparta, and they also say Renus quid est.
Yes.
We've talked about how word order can be changed.
Wow.
Is there a standard way of doing it, or is it just as normal to say quid est Sparta as it is to say Sparta quid est?
The answer is this is the usual way, but this is also perfectly acceptable.
Okay, so one is more usual than the other.
Yes.
Is it similar to what you were talking about earlier with the verb usually ending at the end of the sentence,
Yeah. See,
but it can
again,
be used in the middle?
yeah. See, Renos est manius fluvius. Well, now
Right.
it's got the est in the middle. But Creta oppidum non est. There's the est at the end.
Well, the
So-
interesting thing is that you're saying that it's more usual to say quid est Sparta than it is to say Renus quid est. However, in Renus quid est, you've got the verb at the end of the sentence,
Right.
which seems contradictory.
And it's also weird because then the answer, the verb is right, like near the middle of the sentence.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Because you're answering,
It's a question,
They-
of course, it's not a sentence.
right. Well, the second part is,
No, what I'm making the point that Michael was saying that quid est Sparta is the more usual way of asking the question than Renus quid est.
correct.
Right.
And I'm saying that I find that interesting because we were saying the more usual way is to have the verb at the end of the
Yeah.
sentence.
Correct.
Oh, well, that's for declarative. That's for declarative.
Declarative statements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You get a declaration.
That rule about the verb does not apply necessarily to a question.
Questions? Yeah,
Or an
there you go.
interrogative.
Less so to interrogative questions. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
It's good
got
to
it.
clarify that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. But either one is proper.
Either one is correct. The only reason I brought it up is just because I saw a lot of Roma est in Italia and Syria est in Asia. All of those were right. Okay, not a problem. But what I was a little worried about is you're mirroring English there, the English word order, and I didn't want that to become sort of the only way you did
I
it.
was trying to mirror what the sentences were.
Yep. No, which is fine.
Okay. Because that's what, like you said, quid est Sparta.
And keep in mind, they're intentionally mixing up things here to give you the range of the grammar. Imperium Romanum est in Europa, in Asia, in Africa. Okay. Hispania et Syria et Egyptus provinciae Romanae sunt. So there they stuck the est there, and there they stuck the sunt at the end. It's not that est goes in the beginning and sunt goes at the end. It's just those are different flavors.
Gotcha.
What you'll find in the liturgy is there is a tendency to arrange word order that has a certain cadence and rhythm and melodic quality. Not all of them. I mean, there are some that don't have it, but you'll find that and this was true of Latin, especially true of Latin poetry, is they could put things in all sorts of great orders that that made it very fluid, something that's much harder to do in English without sounding a little stilted. So Any more questions on the readings?
Nothing that they-
Michael,
We have some quiet people out there. I want to hear from them.
I've been dominating this whole thing, man, so my brain's.
That's
on
all right.
it.
You've been asking good questions.
Michael.
Yep.
I just wanted to point out that one chat note that I sent about Salve Regina.
Oh, let's see. Where is it?
Et Jesum benedictum fructum ventris tui nobis.
Yeah.
post
Okay.
Celium ostende.
What about it?
Well, I was just using that as an example where the verb is at the end.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You see, you have a very long sentence and the verb is the very last
Yes.
word in that sentence.
Yeah. In fact, thank you. Oh, that's the Salve Regina. I don't
That's
have.
what I'm saying. I'm just saying, pick that one sentence out of Salve Regina, which is a long sentence,
Yeah.
and you see that the verb is at the very end of the sentence.
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay. Now let's see. In line 58 with the Germania Imperio non est. Okay, whoops, what was that? Line 58. 58. Germania in Imperio Romano non est. Yes, the in is needed. Germany non est is not in the Roman Empire. So if you took out an in, it would look rather strange. Germania Imperio Romano non est is ungrammatical. You need the Germany in Roman Empire. We had the Imperium Romanum was the first
Mhm.
first
There's the
section,
title, yeah.
chapter. So the way you say in the Roman Empire is in Imperio Romano.
Well, I had to figure out that Romano. I'm sitting there going, well, there's Roma, which is Rome, but
Rome,
then they had Imperial. So I'm thinking, oh, Imperial Rome. So it's got to be in the empire of,
right? Well, okay. See, we say the city Rome, right?
right.
But the people that lived in Rome were Romans.
Okay.
So the adjective is, or we say we don't say the Rome Empire, we say the Roman Empire. So again, this is Roma is the city,
Yes.
and Romanus is the adjective.
Which could either mean I'm a Roman citizen and or
No, Imperio is empire, imperium.
right. Well, that's that. Yeah, okay. That's how I figured out what Romano is because of the imperial. And you don't say the imperial city. And imperial to me means, okay, you're talking about the what's the word I'm looking
Well,
for?
okay, hold on. Imperial is an adjective.
Okay. And what does imperial mean?
It's related to
Big,
empire.
great empire. That's what I
Empire.
get. That's the word.
Empire is the noun, imperial is the adjective.
Adjective of wow, okay.
But
So
Imperio here is a noun.
yeah, imperium is a noun here. So you want the Roman Empire.
Would it also be imperial, Romano? That those are both nouns?
No, Romanum.
Well,
Is-
wait, you have Romano and you have imperial. Imperial's matching Romano.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Okay.
I see what we're okay. Imperium Romanum is Roman Empire.
Okay.
Empire Roman. Okay, we like to put
Okay.
that. In Imperio Romano is in the Roman Empire. So remember how in Italia, and we said in Italia, we made it a long A?
Correct.
Well, in Imperium has to become in Imperio. the UM becomes an O after an
And,
E.
and then does that O, that imperial then controls Romano, that's
Yes.
got to end in an O with the,
Yes.
with the
Yes.
Mike Macron?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So
Okay.
I should add probably to the let's see, where did I do this in the chart? Yoo-hoo.
Michael?
Yep.
Imperium Romanum is neuter.
Yes.
Okay.
Where did let me see where'd it go? Here it is. Let me switch here for just a second. Back to the charts. What I should have added. Oh, I did say it. I did say it here. The ablative in Italia, in Europa. So the A becomes a long A, and then Egipto or in Opido, the US or the UM becomes an O. Sorry, I kind of skipped over that when I was talking about these.
We have the greater than or greater than sign.
That is a becomes. That's supposed to be that's like an arrow. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's put it this way. That is a lazy arrow. Okay. A keyboard arrow.
No, I thought it was like algebra, and I'm going, what the
No,
hell?
no.
I know. Okay.
No, I don't think I don't see. Do I have a hold on? Let me see if I have a
Before you change that page, I looked at, the word for Egypt, Egyptio, and I must have played that 16 times to get what he was saying. And I'm sitting there going, how would I pronounce that if I didn't have this guy sounding out for me?
Yeah, hold on a second. Oh, I don't have sorry, I don't have arrows in my keyboard. Okay, so the AE is a long E sound. A, G, to, Aegyptus. Every letter is pronounced. Okay.
How does the Y sound then? E-G?
The Y, oh, it sounds like an I. Egypto.
Egypto. Egyptio?
Well, let's see. Is it short? Sorry, you're right. It's short. It's Egypto. I mean, the G is soft, is what I mean. Egypto.
So that Y becomes an E, in a sense.
More like an I.
Okay.
Well, okay. Excuse me. More like an English I.
Okay.
Yeah, our long English I's are like E's. So
Yeah. That's how I was doing it. That's why I thought it was E. I was pronouncing it as an E. Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Because we're coming up on out of time here. And I have a couple of charts I want to finish up here.
Okay, go.
Let's see here. Okay, so as I said, right now we just have US and A and UM endings. Those are the easiest of the conjugations. And the good news is for adjectives, they need to be the same as the nouns. Okay. As I said, other nouns and adjectives that don't follow this easy rule, but you have until chapter 9
to get confused.
descend. Well, like pater, for example, before they descend upon you. So for now, just, make the noun and the adjectives endings match. So Brundisium at Sparta, that's masculine, that's feminine. Oppida, cities, but its mania is modifying Oppida, not Brundisium or Sparta. So Brundisium et Sparta, Oppida, mania sunt. Brundisium and Sparta are big cities.
Yeah, you're describing the cities.
Right. Okay, let's sum up here. I did want to mention there are some useful books, libri utilissimi. There are books in we have the electronic edition of the Familia Romana. You can get a print copy. Would
it be worth it to get the print copy? Because that
is strictly up to you. I have one, but then I collect Latin grammars, so I'm probably not the best best one to ask. I know Teresa has one, and she likes the print copy. It's up to you.
Okay.
The good news is you buy the print copy, you own it forever. The electronic copy is only a license for a year. So
Gotcha.
the other one is the Lingua Latina. which is a companion to the Familia Romana. It is essentially the Latine disco, but it is better organized and expanded. And let me, and it has there are tables in both the Familia Romana at the end. I think there's tables in the end of and I'll look for next time. But anyway, there is the URL that you can go to, click on, and if you're interested in buying them, they're not hugely.
Just go to Amazon.
Yeah, Michael,
There's that too. There's that too. Yes.
Michael,
$5.
Michael.
Yeah.
One reason why I think Teresa's got the right idea is that, you know how you were scrolling through the Familia Romana, the online, it might be easier to follow that while we're on Zoom here watching you. It
Mhm.
might be easier to follow that if we had the text. Do you follow what I'm saying? You're going through that text online,
Right.
and what I'm saying is that if you had the print version of it, that you could page to that very page right there and look at it.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yes.
So
I see what
there
you're
is an advantage to having the text, particularly when we're in the class, so that you can actually look at it while you're scrolling up and down.
True. True. Yeah, as I said, I just mentioned it. It's up to you guys. Okay.
So which book are you talking about?
The Familia Romana. Here, let me.
Okay, the PARS one familiar, because then there's the companion.
Yep.
Romana,
Get
which
to-
I think it's kind of like a workbook too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, it's not a workbook. It's more like the.
But in that they give you tests and stuff. That's what it
Well,
says.
no, the companion. It does have a. It's essentially the Latine disco. So let me let me switch to that for a second here. There we go. All right. So if we go back over here, there we go. And we'll give it a minute.
It's just forever, I swear. So how do you feel about
Come on.
mine did the same thing, and I thought, what the hell?
I've had curious internet problems all today, so I don't know how much of it is mine, how much of it is the servers, how much.
Now, for this one, I don't know why, but that Latina disco took a long time for mine. It'll eventually come up, but it's like
It usually doesn't take that long. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do it this way. Well, I'll tell you what, I will take a photograph or a scan of one or two of the pages and include it with the notes next time. This is taking way too long. I don't know why.
The Latina disco, that's also a book too,
Yes,
the hardcover. So there's
I have
actually
soft
three
cover
books.
for both. I have soft cover for both the
Lingua Latina,
yeah, I have the Lingua Latina.
and then
Pars,
you have the companion to it,
and I also have the companion. Yeah.
and then
But
you.
The reason I have both of those is I wanted us to explore. Last year we used Collins, as you mentioned,
Correct.
and I wanted to investigate the Familia Romana, so I bought a number of the books.
It seems like this way is a lot easier than the other.
I'm hoping it is.
Well, from a neophyte, I believe.
Well, we'll at the end we'll compare neophyte comments.
Okay, essentially.
So anyway, let's move on. There are websites. The Latinicium is a simple online dictionary. Perseus is a little more advanced. That's another one. And Google Translate is useful, but be careful. It is easily fooled. have charts of some of the funny things that Google Translate does when you translate Latin into English. I don't have time. We're out of time, so I'm not going to mention that. But again, that's in the notes. You can use it. There are computer applications that are useful Latin dictionaries. Scriba is the one I have. It's available on the iPhone, the iPad, and the Android.
It's $7.
Yep, I recommend it. I like it. Now, I'll tell you, I like it because I have it on my iPhone. I'll go to the Latin Mass. I'll hit a word that I'm not familiar with. And at a convenient time, I'll jump over and I'll look it up. And it'll tell me about it. And so let me let me just throw this up here. The nice thing about Scriba is it does all of the declensions and the conjugation.
I know, and I was using it for the homework because there's a couple of words I'm thinking, well, I think I wanted to make sure, but those first couple definitions, it's like you got to scroll all the way down. Do like multi.
Oh yeah, well there's some. Okay, let's just do manducamus, which means to chew, eat, etc. I don't know. Let's see. I don't think I can't. Sorry, I can't expand the text. But manducamus, it'll also tell you that it's what the forms are. So if we do Roman,
That's where you get what is it? Manja.
Yeah, Romanus. Whoops.
Now who is that guy?
Now that is I quit accidentally and hit the wrong button.
I saw your picture at a post office.
Probably. Let's see here. All right, here we go. There we go. Share. There we go. It's back. But yeah, you're right. Manus is there's a name, by the way, Magnus or Manus. Right. But yes, you're right. There is a long Manus.
Yes, there you go.
Long.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, which one of these do you use?
Well, notice, but they all relate back to great, grand, big, lofty, important,
right,
grand poobah, type
See
things.
if you can go down further on that.
Oh yeah,
it goes down and it gives the word standing by itself, and it did a great job of.
Well, the Romans tended to get a lot of mileage out of certain words.
That's why Latin.
And here's the famous ut.
Oh yeah, there you go. See, now the first thing, it doesn't really tell me anything. I had to go further down.
Yeah,
like conjunction down here.
Yep. Well, some of the words have very complicated meanings. Let's do agricola. There we go. Farmer. There it is. There's not you see, a cultivator of the land, a husbandman, agriculturist, vine dresser, gardener, farmer, plowman, peasant. Done. So, some words have, all right, define the word do.
Do?
Yeah. Have you ever looked up the English word do?
It's an action word. That's all I know.
All right, hold on now.
Okay.
All right, now we have an English dictionary.
Oh boy.
Here is the word do, okay? All right. Has a lot of stuff with it. Some words have a very long description associated with it because they have many layers of meaning. Others, not so much. So anyway, one thing that you really need to do though is if you're looking for a dictionary, be it print, whatever, or online, make sure that it contains Lewis and Short vocabulary, which has a lot of ecclesiastical terms. Easy way to do is look up the word angel, angelus. A classical Latin dictionary will not know what an angelus is.
Yeah, you had that in your other class. It was weird.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. Anyway, so let's finish up here because we're in overtime. So if you have not already, do get the Familia Romana. Do finish the first part and the exercises, the second part and exercises 4 through 7. I've graded most stuff. I'm still working my way through. I'm sorry I'm behind because of wonderful COVID. But the next thing to do is reread the Latine Disco section again, hopefully, because it has a lot of good stuff in there. And a lot of stuff you probably, if you read it the first time, may not stick.
Mhm.
We want to read and listen to part 3, Litterae et Numeri, which are letters and numbers. And again, exercises 8 and 10, or 8 through 10. And as a bonus round, peek at part 4, because that is the Grammatica Latina. And let me switch to that for a moment. Oh, isn't that funny? It still hasn't come up. This is where, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is where we start talking about some of the, ooh, let me zoom out a little. There we go. This is where we talk about singular and plural. Nilus fluvius manius est, but Nilus, but Nilus et Rhenus fluvii mani sunt. So fluvius singularis, fluvii pluralis. And they talk about insula magna, insulae magnae, the A and the AE, and whole bunch of stuff.
And those are like different tenses, right?
Well, nouns don't have tenses. Those are different cases.
Our cases, okay.
So, or actually singular and plural. Sorry, we
Right.
haven't really done cases. This is just singular and plural.
Got it.
We're gonna start out easy because English has singular and plural. So,
All right, just to recap then, for the homework.
Yep.
You want us to go ahead and finish the first part of exercise 1 through 3, which
well,
I've already.
hopefully you've done that.
Correct.
If you have not already.
I've already sent it, and I sent them
Yeah,
both.
you
I
have.
sent them all
You've
into
done
you.
it. I think I saw 7. Not
Finished.
everybody has. Well, I'd have to go back and check to find out who hasn't.
Show me where exercise 4 and 7 is on the.
On this. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the Familia Romana, section 1, and then you have the exercise 1.
Yeah, you're still in the homework.
2,
If you get
and
out of that
3.
sucker.
Yeah. But once you hit the Familia Romana, the second
Can you
section.
go back one. Yeah, you just had it up earlier. Where it has your course. And
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm not screen sharing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, you're still in homework.
Okay, that explains it. Sorry. There we go. Now
There we go. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, see, we had 1, 2, and 3. Then we had section 2, which has 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 I have to grade. 4, 5, and 6. In fact, let me
Okay, so you want us to go through
well,
4, 5, 6, and 7,
yeah, if you haven't.
and then what's exercise 8 and 10?
8 through 10 is the one after the third reading. Lectio tertia.
Do you want? Oh, that's for next time. We don't need. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah, read through it and take a shot at the exercises.
You want us to send them into you once we do them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll we will in fact we're kind of doing this I'm doing this intentionally in reverse order.
No, you're doing this to punish us.
Oh darn it, you've discovered my secret.
Well, tomorrow is what the sorrowful mysteries of the rosary.
This is true. Yeah, Lent is fast approaching us.
Yeah, next week.
No. The reason I want you to try that is I want you to work through it and read it. You know, again, we're doing the natural method here, so
Right.
don't want to spoon feed you the vocabulary and the grammar. I want you to wrestle with it, and so as you read it and study it, it will become, I hope, at least that's the theory.
Second nature. Mhm.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll become more relevant or more, it'll yeah, you'll bear this, you'll remember those scars forever. Let's put it that way, right?
Well, let me put it this way, it's like the, what is it, the Ave Maria?
Yes.
Or- I went online and there was a rosary, they did like all 15 decades in Latin. And I
Mhm.
kept hearing that thing over and over and over again. And finally I started sinking in that maybe
Yes.
I can, but I still have to look at the words. I just can't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can read it, no problem, but memorize it and say it without that crutch.
Well, part of that is you don't know the words yet necessarily. You don't know the grammar, the structure.
Mhm.
And part of it is practice. In Latin, repetitio est mater studiorum. Repetition is the mother of studies or
Sound
study.
like that none I had when I was an altar boy.
Yeah, in English, we would say practice makes perfect.
Correct.
So yeah, it will help later on once you have a good feel for what those individual words mean, because then you see, if you don't know Latin, actually the best way to learn it, memorize it, is to listen to it in Gregorian chant and to sing along with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
There, the melody, etc., tends to embed itself.
Yeah, that's another way of learning.
But
Correct.
the difficulty, and this is something that I'm not terribly fond of, the idea of saying Latin prayers without knowing what they mean. Now, don't misunderstand me. I mean, yes, you can go to Latin masses all your life, but if you're just listening to the Latin and you don't have like a hand missile and you're following in English, I mean, these words have meaning.
Well,
And so-
back in the day, I'm going back 50 years when I was an altar boy, and they, like Holy Week, Holy
Mhm.
Thursday, we'd go around in a circle around the pew singing, "Oh, Rapa Nobis." Then there was a da 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 da. The priest would do something, and then you pronounce "Oh, Rapa Nobis." I had no idea what the hell I was saying. But I said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's, lex orandi, lex credendi. The law of prayer is the rule of prayer is the rule of belief. And so it's important. And so as you are able to absorb the meaning, it will become easier to memorize this, and more relevant for that matter. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Okay.
that's enough.
And then one last thing, flashcards. You recommend them
Oh, well, okay, but we have them. If you go down to the bottom,
Yeah, somehow or another, I these things popped up on my computer.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, by all means, use them. Now, what this is here's the English word.
Correct.
And then
Now,
you
these
need
are words taken from what our readings, right?
yes.
Okay.
So this is word. Any guess?
No.
Verbum or vocabulum.
Oh, vocabulary.
Yeah, this vocabulum is in the sense of vocabulary word.
Okay,
Some of
exactly.
these you have. Okay, one only.
Uno. Yes.
Unus, una, unum. Remember, that's an adjective.
Mhm.
And then where, ubi.
Ubi. There you guys. Gonna say okay.
Three, tres,
Right.
just, or tria. Three means Well, we get into numbers versus ordinal numbers versus what's the word I want? Numerical numbers. I can't think of
Cardinal.
the word for the cardinal. Thank you.
Cardinal.
Or ordinal. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, third, tertius, tertia, tertium, syllable. Whoops. Let's click on the different definition. Syllaba. And these are you're going to run into these in the litera section, the next third section. And of course, the other way is whoops.
Oh, wow, you're going to do that.
You can then go from Latin to English. Vocabulum, well, we know that's word. We saw it. Unas, una, one, only, solely. Capitulum, chapter. So anyway, yes, anything that you can do to memorize it. Writing things down is also an excellent way of memorizing things. Typing, not so much.
No, you know, the more of your body you use when memorizing.
Exactly.
I used to stand up and read, do motion, anything and everything. And boy, it works.
Yep.
You know, instead of just sitting there staring at it.
Yep. All right. So anyway,
so we should go ahead and start doing that too now, I guess.
yes.
Free time. Okay.
Well, you want to do the vocabulary. You want to do the vocabulary at the end of the section. Okay, at the end of the chapter. Because if you do it after the first reading, then you know you won't have had a lot of the vocabulary.
So after I go through all the homework, then after
Yes.
section 3, then go ahead and start doing this.
Yeah.
Exercise 8 through 10. Oh my
Yep,
God.
8 through 10. That's associated with section 3.
And that deals with numbers and stuff. And I kind of looked at
Letters
that,
and numbers.
I just went,
Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, uno, duo, tres, cuatro, etc. Well, there's also primus, first, secunda, second, tertia, third. So yeah, there's a couple.
Then I like how they use the word immediately. And then, but then they give you this, well, it came from Greek, and I'm sitting there going, I don't care where it came from.
Yeah, that was, yeah, gamma or delta. I think it was delta they used, or maybe they used gamma. I've forgotten now. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird throwing that in there, but okay. Hey, you know, what can I say? All right, so let's finish up.
Do you get paid overtime for this?
No, I don't get paid anything for it.
Yeah, I'll say a quick ejaculation for you.
Oh, I would appreciate it. Anyway, let's finish up though here.
Do the prayer and Gigi.
Yep. All right. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. So with that, we are done.